Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Man Cave. It's Monday, and got all kinds of good news from over the weekend. We'll start with Isaac. That's the best news of all, and Isaac's doing really, really well. He had his surgery, and just a few minutes after he woke up from his surgery, they had him stand up and start walking. And he said it even at that moment, he was already in less pain than he had been in. So everything's really going well. I saw him over the weekend again, and, he's on the mend. He's got to stay on a walker for, I don't know, several weeks. And after that, he should be fine. I never knew that you could have a ball and socket hip problem like he had. Where the ball slips off the end of the bone. I didn't know that was possible. I thought that was all one piece. But anyway, crazy. So that's good. That's going well, and so thank you very, very much for all the prayers. I really do appreciate it. Just couldn't be happier. Mary graduated. I told you she had gotten a scholarship to play basketball at Sedalia, and we went to her graduation party on Saturday, and then her actual graduation yesterday afternoon. So here's a little bit on that. You can see she's a tall girl. That's that's her basketball advantage, I guess you'd say. And she was also one of three class valedictorians. It was a small class. I mean, there's only like 30-some kids in the class, and there was three of them that apparently had tied for the highest grade point average or whatever it was. And so Mary and the other two gals, gave their speeches for the valedictorian, and very proud of her. She just did a wonderful, wonderful job on her speech, and everything went really well. Let's see. Do you have fears of spiders? You might want to turn away. This little sucker, it's a fiddleback spider or a brown recluse. For those of you who have trouble figuring out where the fiddle is, if you look at where the spider's head is there and then come back, you can see that dark blotch there and then the long, skinny little line pointing back toward the tail. The neck of the violin points back toward the tail, but can you see the violin shape? It looks, when you're up close and in person, this camera lighting wasn't the best on this, it looks exactly like exactly like a violin. It really does. It looks like somebody hand painted a little tiny violin on their back. And it's not like similar. It looks exactly like one, really. It really does. Anyway, this one was, believe it or not, that picture's taken inside my popcorn bowl. I have a steel popcorn bowl, and that's really zoomed up close, so it makes it look rough, but that bowl's smooth, and I guess that's like butter residue and stuff, from the popcorn that's making those streaks in there, I guess. But anyway, that spider is pretty big. If he was spanning a quarter, his legs would go outside the quarter by about an 1/8 inch all the way around. I mean, he was pretty good size. And like I said, I've been bitten 3 times by them, and he was right next to me in the bowl. I ate my popcorn at night, and then I set my bowl down on the floor, and then this is the first time I've ever had this happen. But anyway, there you go. Like I said, I've been bitten 3 times. They don't scare me at all. They don't bother me a bit, but it is a little bit freaky to see one in your popcorn bowl. Yeah, and we don't see that many in the house, although pretty much when you see a spider in the house, it is a brown recluse almost all the time, because I don't know. I think they're predatory spiders, and they kill the other spiders, for one thing. So at least there's that. They get rid of the other spiders. So maybe we should keep a couple of them hanging around. I know some people are so incredibly, afraid of spiders. Not me. They just don't bother me really at all. The cicadas are here. People keep asking me about them, and I forgot to mention it all last week. They started showing up like maybe a weekend ago, not last weekend, or not this past weekend, but maybe the weekend before they started showing up. We started hearing them, and they're really loud now. And Sue says, "Doesn't that noise bother you?" And I said, "It's not that I don't hear them. It's just that I hear that noise 24/7. I mean, I really do. It sounds exactly like cicadas with my tinnitus that I have, and I just, if you don't think about it, you don't notice it. But if you think about it, well, then it's there all the time. And so really, that's just loud tinnitus to me. It's really almost exactly the same sound. It's just almost exactly, and it's 24/7. It's just, it never goes away. But they're here now, and they are really loud. When we came out of the graduation yesterday at the school, they were so loud. And Sue's going, "That just drives me nuts." I said, "Well, you don't live with it 24/7. You get over it." And that's pretty much exactly the way it is. I noticed some of you were already commenting about Itchy Boots, and I had that on my list to talk about. Did you see how she ended her trip in Africa? Wow, bummer. I told you it, and I told you that when you keep doing all these things, it's going to catch up with you. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, like if it's hang gliding, or if you like to jump off cliffs, or with a parachute, or whatever it is, base jumping. It's going to catch up with you eventually. And riding those rough, crazy roads, it's going to catch up with you eventually. And unfortunately, it caught up with her. Yeah, it messed her up pretty good. I don't know this. She didn't really end with what the official status is, but she thinks she broke her collarbone, and she thinks she broke her foot. I think she's pretty sure she broke her collarbone based on the way things were. Boy, that's sad. I hate to see it, and I hate it for two reasons. I hate it for her because, that's obviously terrible, and then I hate it because now we won't get to see her videos for a while. Doggone it. So, anyway. All right, and here's a little bonus video that I took. This one's actually probably a couple minutes long, back there at the pond. So take a look. I don't know if you can see the carp out there swimming around. They're right out in there, 3 of them. See, there, I think maybe you can see them. I don't know. Well, they kind of went down. There's a fish jumping there. But the 3 big carp are in there. Those are good sized carp. They eat the grass and stuff. So let's throw out some stuff and see what happens here. Let me zoom back down to 1, and we'll throw out some of this and see if they do anything. Oh yeah, right away, instantly. Look at them, boy, they're going crazy. Yep, I'm looking to see what kind of fish, if I can tell. I mostly look like the green sunfish, mostly. Maybe some bluegill. It's hard to say. I don't see anything that I can recognize besides the green sunfish, honestly. I know there's a lot of fish in here. Move down this way and throw some more out. Move on around and maybe find some more fish over this way. Don't see nothing hitting it over here. We don't generally feed them over in this area. We generally feed them over there, so kind of makes sense. Although I see a school. Oh, there's those big carp. Here they come. See if they hit that stuff. I don't know if they'll hit it or not. I don't know if you could see those or not, but they're getting really big. They were only about 6 or 7 inches when we put them in here, and they're close to 2 feet now. So there they go out there swimming, 3 of them. I don't know if you can see them or not. Yeah. Well, activity slowed down a little bit, but I can still see them at the surface, eating a little bit here and there. Not quite the frenzy it was at the beginning. But I was hoping to start seeing the catfish come up, or some of the bigger bass or something. I don't see them coming up. Oh, there's a whole school of minnows right here, just a ton of them. Little bitty minnows. Here's those 3 big carp coming this direction right now. I don't know if you can see them or not, right out that way. 3 of them, they're facing this way. Yeah, they hit the surface there. I guess they're eating a little bit of it. Yeah, they're starting to hit it. Those things are massive compared to the other fish. Look at the dark tail on this sunfish. Unusual, very dark tail. Well, I guess that may be normal for those green sunfish. I don't know. Doesn't look like the rest of them have that though. Yeah, that ought to be enough. They're not eating it too fast now. I think those carp are swarming around over there. They're not too camera happy. They're over there eating off the surface by themselves. The 3 carp. I don't really see any decent bass in here. The bass we put in were again only like 6 or 7 inches long, but now they're up to, I'd say 3/4 of a pound, if not a pound on some of them. Well, I'm going to cut it off right there. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way that pond's turned out and the way the fish are doing. I think we've got way too many green sunfish in there. We need to keep catching those. They're easier to catch, and when we catch those, we throw those out into the creek so that they can make their way down to the river. But we've got way too many of those in there. Anyway, moving on, let's see what else have I got for you here. Well, I told you that my plans had changed on how I was going to do the water wheel. I'm pretty happy with the way this went. I'll just let the video speak for itself, and then I'll fill you in on a couple of details. Well, it's Sunday evening. I thought I'd show you where we're at on the water wheel project. First of all, you can see the water's still pouring out of there pretty good. And I made up my mind how I was going to do this. I was going to make this little pier much taller. Well, maybe twice that tall. And it was so hot out here, and the working conditions were terrible. The mosquitoes and the flies were biting like crazy, and I was sweating and bending over and squatting down, and I just gave up. I said, this is enough right here. So that's as far as I took it, and that's what we ended up with. Now, what I plan to do is
I may leave it this tall. I'm not really sure. I might cut it off a little bit and bring another, another post from here across the top of this, and maybe even let it stick out a little bit past here a little bit. So from here across, and maybe even let it stick out. I'm not really sure about that, what the look is going to look like. It's going to sit on top of this post, so I'll probably cut this off a little bit. But anyway, then I think what I'll do is put some metal straps coming down and hang the flume from that big pole, from that big post. Anyway, that's my present idea. I don't know how all that's going to work. There's not much room between the flume and this wheel. That's why I have to come and support it from above, I think, is the best method. But anyway, we're looking good. We're in good shape for the shape we're in. And tomorrow, hopefully, I'll work on building that flume and making it come out and then turn and come this way. And we'll see how all that goes.
Just work, that's all it is. I tell you what, that was some tough work though. That sun was beating down on my back. It was super hot. It was in the 90s, and yeah, it was humid, and the mosquitoes and the flies, and I'm not about, they weren't the horse flies, fortunately, because if they'd have been the horse flies, I'd have just had to quit. Those things would drive you nuts. But it was the regular house flies were biting, and there's times when those house flies bite like crazy, and other times they don't bite you at all. But it was not good, and I'm almost 70, so bending over and stooping down that low and squatting, and I probably in hindsight should have just got me a 5-gallon bucket to sit on instead of trying to, but I was up and down so much, going back to get more mortar, and it's so, it just is what it is. But man, when I got that high, I said, that's enough. I'm done. I'm out of here. And I just let it go at that, and it looks okay. It's not quite the vision I had originally, but sometimes your visions just need to change to keep from killing yourself. Well, let's see. I got yet another tool. Now, before I show it to you, the conversation went like this on this tool. Now, Tesman has sent me electrical tools before. They sent me one of those circuit testers, one of those little gadgets that just tell you if the voltage is on or not. And theirs is a little different in that it lights up, and it also has a little percentage on it. It tells you whether it's really hot wire or not. And it's a nice one, and it's taken the place in my electrical tool kit. I carry it with me, and I like it. It actually works pretty good. Well, I figured their other tool that they're going to send me was going to be really nice too, but right now I don't have any electrical projects that I need to work on. And I said, well, guys, why don't you just hold off on that for a couple of months, and I'll get back to you. And then we'll talk about it, and maybe I can make a video at that time, because, by then I'd be doing something else. Right now I'm still working on a water wheel, and I don't really feel like stopping on that until I get it done. Well, anyway, they said, okay, fine, we'll send it to you today. That was their reply. Here it is. It's one of those automatic strippers. You feed your wire in right here. Gotta get up in this goofy camera. You feed your wire in right here, and this plastic deal is a stripping guide right here, this plastic deal, and you can push it in or whatever to the length you want to strip. Then you squeeze it and it strips your wire. Well, I've had 2 or 3 of these over the years, and when they're new, I really like them. They seem to work really well, but I think the first pair of these I ever had was really good, and that back when they were making good stuff, well, those got busted or broke or something. Or I lost them. I don't know what happened to those, but the second pair of these I got, I wasn't all that impressed with. Well, this one, I have to say, I think this Tesman must make good stuff. These seem really high quality. They really do seem solid, Now, what's really unique about these is that they have batteries in them in here. I don't know if you can see the little battery compartment there and get it in the right light, but there's a battery compartment. Yeah, I think you can see it there. And so when I was in the car when I opened this up, and I had pulled off the side of the road there just to look at them and to see what they look like, and it says open on this. So I pulled this open, and the batteries popped out and went everywhere. Well, I was in a hurry to get to town and do whatever I was going to do run my errand, and so I just popped the batteries back in here. Well, it says in the instructions, be very careful which, polarity you get where, and I didn't really think about that at that moment. I just put them back in there, but obviously I didn't get them right, and anyway, the batteries don't seem to do anything. What it's supposed to do is it's supposed to have a sensor in here to tell you if the wire's hot. And I don't know how it tells you. It doesn't say in the instructions. It just says that's what it does. But I think you're supposed to be able to lay a wire like right here, and then you can tell if it's hot or not. I don't know if it vibrates or buzzes or what it does, but that part don't seem to work. Because I put it against, lamp cords and things like that are hot with the light on and everything, and it doesn't seem to do anything. So obviously I must have burned up the batteries. So I'll have to investigate that. But at least in terms of the tool itself, it does seem to be fairly good quality. So I'll just get to that when I get to it. I can't believe their reply was, okay, we'll send it right now. I guess they didn't read my email or something. I told you the MF35, I basically limped it back to the house after I had cut those weeds around the pond back there. This was a few days ago. Well, I limped it back to the shop and had it in the shop the past couple of days, and then so over the weekend, I guess it was Saturday, I went out and bought new plugs, and I bought points and rotor and distributor cap. So I went into Napa, here in Raleigh. It's the newest auto parts store, is the Napa store, and it's huge. It's a really big store compared to all the other auto parts stores. I don't know, AutoZone's pretty big too, but this Napa is every bit as big and maybe bigger. So anyway, you go in there and it's completely void of people, and almost every time I go in there it's that way, and that's really sad because I'm afraid it's going to go out of business. But I asked him, I said, are you guys doing okay on your business here? I said, every time I come in here there's nobody in here, and he says, well, commercially we're doing really well. Okay, I hope they are, because I walk in there and and this is a 1960 Massey Ferguson 35 tractor. Now, out in the country, they tend to stock more tractor parts than they would perhaps in the city. But I'm not expecting this to be there. I'm expecting them to say, okay, we can get that for you. We'll have it here by Wednesday, So I tell him the whole thing and tell him all the things they're going, yeah, it's all in stock. We've got it. Isn't that amazing that, when you think about that, it's pretty darn amazing that they have all those parts just right there in stock. And that's the thing about living in America. You can just pretty much get what you want pretty much anytime you want it, wherever you are, for the most part. I mean, there's always exceptions, But we take a lot of things for granted in this country. But, man, I'm telling you what, that's pretty cool to just be able to walk up and get exactly what you need for an old tractor like that. And so I said, oh, so you guys have had this on the shelf since 1960, waiting for Jerry Rosa to come in here and order this, huh? He just chuckled. But, it's kind of like that. That's the way, at least it kind of feels that way. The last thing is I did do a little bit of metal detecting yesterday evening late, and it was so hot out there again. I only was out for 45 minutes or something, and when I came back, I had to go take another shower. It was so hot, and just the bad conditions again. The temperatures are already up in the 90s. It's ridiculous, and that's not fun. I'm not looking forward to the summer. Anyway, I did find a few things, but I forgot to clean those up and get them ready to show you this morning, so I might show you some of those tomorrow if I think anything's worthy and interesting enough after I get them cleaned up. Let's go through the comments and see where we're at there. We got a ton of comments today. I mean, like a huge load of comments. John Pepper looks like he was number one. Rod Wintler is there. And then John Pepper says, did you see the Trouble Itchy Boots? Yep, and we just talked about that. So, yeah, that's amazing. To be honest, it's amazing it hadn't happened before now because, well, she had broke her hand that one time before, but gee whiz. I know I'd have broke something if I was riding on those kinds of roads that she rides on. Dottie's still praying for us, thank you, and your prayers did work, Dottie. I sure am thankful. David Tharp, rinse and repeat. With all the advancements in science and technology, why can't they come up with a shampoo that does it right the first time? Ditto, I agree with that. I'm always harping on science and stuff like that because, I don't know, designs especially. Things should just be better. It's amazing. But anyway, that's just a joke. But yeah, it's funny. But it's it is in reality. It should be that way, you know. Tom Armstrong. Good morning. Spent the weekend removing carpet and pulling staples. Is there anything more sinister than those tack strips? Oh yeah, they eat you alive. Especially if you happen to step on one. David Tharp says, I have come to the conclusion that life is like a game of chess. I don't know how to play chess. Yeah, that's exactly right with me, too. I don't play fair with others is my problem. Let's see. Donald Matthews, Itchy Boots. What a way to end a trip. Yeah, that's for sure. Tom Armstrong, my imagination, or does it seem that Itchy Boots drives too fast? Well, she definitely gets it down the road. There's no doubt about that. And I think she's a pretty good rider. But man, when you hit those kinds of roads, and especially you hit something like that just is at the exact right angle to flip that wheel, boy. And yeah. I don't think it matters if you're going fast or slow. If it hits it just right, it's gonna nail you. But of course, when you're going fast, you're gonna get hurt a lot worse. Tom Armstrong. I hope I didn't skip anything here. I wonder how the police handle those big strips with nails in them for stopping cars. Yeah, it's kind of like the tack strip. Kim Williford. Urgent, how is Isaac doing? Yeah, well, you just got to hear that, and he's doing so good, and thanks for asking. Let's see. Looking for the question marks, and it just, when I scroll down, it just jumps a lot of time, and so I have to grab it and pull it back. Kenneth Ennis, wow, I made it. First time live in a spell. Keep chirping, my friend. Well, thank you. David Tharp, sometimes all I want is for someone to hug me and tell me, I know it's hard right now, but things will get better. Have a coffee and $5 million. Yeah, that's all it takes to fix everything. Just $5 million. It'll just pretty much fix almost anything. Though the way prices are going, maybe not for too long. Hugh O'Connor, song request. He's got you. I've got Mexico. I heard it first on one of the live shows, so you only have the band to blame. Okay. Well, I'll write it down, but I don't recall that tune. I know that Bill does a tune about Mexico, but I don't know that that's the title of it. Maybe it is, because I don't know the titles all that well. He's got you. I've got Mexico. And That's Hugh O'Connor. All right. I'll take a few more requests today, and then I think that's going to be it because, first of all, we'd have to have time to get ready for them, and second of all, I think our plate's going to be pretty full. Tom Armstrong, are guitar strings that have been tuned to standard pitch to stretch out to be in tune for lower alternate tunings? Sometimes I don't read well. Are guitar strings that have been tuned to standard pitch to stretch out to be tuned for lower alternate tunings? I'm not quite sure what you're asking there, but I don't know. Guitar strings are guitar strings, so I think you can tune them to anything you want to. The only thing I have to add about stretching them or whatever is that if you're in a hurry, if you're on stage or maybe at a jam and you really need to get back in tune, you might want to stretch them. But if you're on your own and you're not in any hurry, I recommend you let them stretch naturally. I think they last longer when you let them stretch naturally. Anyway, Jason Smith says, Jerry from Northern Ireland. Jason's in Northern Ireland and it's afternoon there. Well, glad you're here, Jason. Tom says, wow, nice about Isaac there. Yeah, it's really, he's doing really well. He's been complaining of that for quite a long time, actually, several months anyway. And I'm glad that they finally got to the bottom of it and figured out what the problem is. And it looks like it was caught in time because he looks like he's doing really well. So I'm so thankful. Zappa's got a story there about a canaster or something. It doesn't have any question marks, so I'm going to go ahead and pass up on that one. Kim Williford, yay, we love you, Isaac. Yeah, well, thank you. He's he gets to kind of rule right now. You know how it is when you're sick and, on the mend. He gets to watch what he wants to watch, and he's driving everybody crazy on the TV because all he's watching is lawnmower videos about souping up lawnmowers and making them, race and, things like that. That's what he's got several old lawnmowers that he's trying to fix up. And so he's all excited about trying to, soup them up and make them go faster and that kind of thing. How young guys are. They got to do something. They got to have something they're passionate about, and that's what he's passionate about. Moving on down, Dottie Hildebrand, so proud of you, Mary. Well, yeah, she's a great girl, and I am so thankful she's going to get to go to college and keep playing some basketball. As I said, odds are she won't get to play very much, especially this first year, because they've got some really good players, and they're bringing them in from all over the world. So, she'll be lucky to get to any court time, I think. Zappa says, get past the dang spider, Jerry. I guess he doesn't like spiders too much. Dottie says, great news on Isaac. Barry Bark says, how much would you have eaten it for? 1 million? I'd probably eat it a lot less than that. I think I'd probably eat it for 100,000. I could eat it. I know this is going to sound stupid to 99% of you, but I can't help it. It's the black and white truth. I could eat that spider before I could eat a piece of lettuce that big. And I'm not kidding you. And that's a fact. You can believe what you want. But when I put something like lettuce in my mouth, it tastes so foul that I don't see how you guys can eat it. I truly don't. It doesn't make sense to me at all. I can't get on your level on the food thing. It's just crazy. And I know you can't get on my level either. You think there's no way it could be that bad. Trust me, it's that bad. You'd have to shoot me in the head. If you said, like, here's a whole plate of salad, and you said, you eat this or I'm blowing your brains out, I'd say, please don't miss. So there you go. Daddy Hildebrand. Bill Mumbo, what do you draw? Outdoor scenery. Oh, so she's asking Bill. I think I saw something, a quick note there. He draws cartoons. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. It's another comment just down below. Paul says, good luck to Mary, and praying for Isaac's recovery. Well, thank you. Yeah, Bill Mumbo says, cartoons mostly. Nobody can tell you it's wrong. Yeah, there's definitely a point there. I guarantee you on that one. Daddy Hildebrand, breaking your collarbone is very painful. My grandson broke his on a motorcycle accident. I felt so sorry for him until they operated on it. Yeah, and I bet the operation ain't no fun thing either. James Akers, I am just like you, Jerry, with the ear sound. 24/7. It can drive you crazy if you let it. Yeah, like right now. I mean, because I'm thinking about it, I hear it. But, if I don't think about it, you can ignore it. But seriously, it'll drive you nuts if you think about it. And it gets louder and louder and louder when you think about it. If you just don't think about it, you can often not even know you have it. But you really have to keep your mind off of it. That's for sure. Zappa, Jerry, you can throw a can of whole kernel corn for the carp. They love it. Yep. Yeah, I know they do. But that's expensive compared to, I don't know. Maybe it isn't expensive. Fish food's not that cheap, but we buy it in a giant 50-pound bag, so it seems cheaper at least. Moving on down, looking for question marks. Uh-oh, it bounced. Yeah, I don't know where it bounced from. Huh. Okay. Tom Armstrong says his son also broke a collarbone. Snowboarding. Yee. Yeah, stuff like that always catches up to you if you're not careful. Aletha says, spiders doesn't put me off. I catch and release to the outside. There's no catch and release here, sorry. And I make no apologies about it. Wavy gravy, Jerry, you need some piranha fish to go with your to go along with your spider collection. Yeah, we need some piranhas here, sure. Kim Williford, I saw 3 fish. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of fish out there. You can see them when you're standing on there. The camera doesn't pick them up as well, but those big carp, if you knew what you were looking at, you could see them in the camera there too. But they're a little harder to see. They almost look like a reflection, just kind of shimmering along there is what they look like. But they are in the picture there on the first time for sure. And then there's another time or two I could actually see them. I didn't realize I was filming them, but you could see them going off camera or whatever. Let's see. Gary Hayden, your man cave camera video quality is very good. Well, thanks. Glad to hear it. It is kind of what it is. Bob, did you see Itchy Boots' accident? Yeah, we sure did. Okay, Simon says, when you build the flume, Jerry, will you line it with polyurethane, for example, or is it painted finish you trust enough to seal it will last? Well, all I'm planning to use is the red cedar, which is pretty good with water and things. And as long as the water stays on it, I don't think you'll have too much trouble. I'm going to seal the seams with 100% silicone caulk. So it'll be sealed. I'm not worried about it leaking or anything like that. That part's going to be fine. The only part I'm a little bit concerned about is how long it will last overall. But again, I'm wanting to use the wood, and I want to keep it a natural look, like an old-timey look. So I mean, I could line it with polyurethane like you're saying, but then again, it won't have that complete look. And you're going to be able to see down in the flume because when you drive by it, you can see down in it. So you can't really disguise it, even though it's if you're standing on the ground, it would be above eye line, but up on, driving in, you're actually driving above all that, and you can look down and see it. So, I'm going to try to keep it as authentic looking as possible. Dottie Hildebrandt, Jerry, I have a couple pair of those wire strippers, but never any with batteries. Yeah, I've never seen a pair with batteries before, but this is that extra little benefit thing. It's supposed to detect voltage, but I just don't know how that works yet because that part doesn't seem to work. There's a switch here on the back, and it says hold it for a second, but I see nothing come on. I see no lights. I don't feel anything. I don't hear anything. So, and then I've put it, I've done what this directions say, and I don't get any results. So I assume I burned up the batteries because the batteries are in there for a couple of days or a day and a half or so in the wrong configuration, and it really strongly explains that you got to be sure to put them in there correctly. It says that a couple times, in fact. Let's see. Dottie says, how are the ticks on your farm? They are so bad that it's unexplainable. Yeah, you wouldn't. I don't think you'll find them any worse anywhere on the planet. They're that bad. They're really, really that bad. Yeah, I sprayed, and like when I would, I have those weeds cut short, and then I spray down pretty good before I go out there. And there's still no guarantee that that's going to stop it, but it helps. Gary Cooper, rinse and repeat is their way of selling more product. Boy, that's a fact. You got that right. Bill Webb, the stop strips are encased in plastic triangle shape so you don't actually see or have to handle the spikes. Yep, on those for the police, I'm sure. Zappa, as a child, I sledded down an alley and got caught in an ice rut. Went straight into a telephone pole. Ooh. Wasn't there a famous person or was it Sonny Bono or somebody like that was skiing and, and hit a tree and kind of messed up his whole day? Pretty sure it killed him. Yeah. I don't know who it was now, but it seemed like it was Sonny Bono for some reason, but that may not be the right name. Bob, song request for all Canadians, Tim Hicks, Stronger Beer. Sorry, I have a feeling, Bob, we're going to be passing on that one, but I don't know. I know some of you are going to think this is really trivial and really small of me, but I don't typically like to do any kind of song that promotes drinking or drugs or anything like that. Now, I do sing that one song, Why You Been Gone So Long, and it talks about getting high and drinking Thunder Bourbon. But, I didn't quite understand the words in that song when I first started singing it, and people liked it so much I kept singing it. But that's about the only one I sing that promotes that. Like, for instance, the instrumental that's really popular is Whiskey Before Breakfast. If it had a different title, I would have learned that tune. But I just have never learned it just because of that. I know it sounds really stupid to most of you. I get it. But, I don't compromise much on my principles. I really don't. Yeah, anyway, it's just kind of the way it is. So to me, like that when they're Stronger Beer, it's unlikely I doubt I'll even tell the band about it, honestly. It's just the way it is. Sorry, I don't mean to offend you. It's got nothing to do with anything like that. It's just the way I feel about it. I just don't like anything that messes with your mental capabilities. And if it does, then in my opinion, it's wrong. Let's see. Lost my place because it kept scrolling on me there. 1788 Productions, Tennessee, 1949 by Larry Sparks. Didn't we do that one the last time? I think we did, but it's 1788 Productions. I'll write it down. Let's see. Okay, I guess I skipped that one, I guess, before, so I'm glad I went back and found it. Bill's asking if we can hear from Yolanda. I'll see if she can make it. I don't know. The only problem with Yolanda is that she typically sings as the karaoke. We can play some of her tunes, but a lot of times we don't know the ones she wants to do, and then it's difficult to do it live and get it right. But I'll see what happens. I think we're going to have a full house plus, and the problem is we don't have a lot of space here either. So I think we're going to have the full band plus Bill, and adding Yolanda might, although we will only bring her in probably during the halftime anyway. So anyway, it might work out. We'll see how it goes. I'll just have to talk to the band about it. In fact, we'll be getting together tomorrow evening, and we'll see how we can do that. Still gonna getting my feel here in this small space. It's smaller than it looks. It's when you get this many people in here. Ronald Todd, did Scott get his lathe fixed? Yeah, I talked to him over the weekend because I saw him at Mary's graduation, and or at the party anyway, and Scott said that the lathe with the three-phase motor and the VFD variable frequency drive works really good. He says the best thing he's done to that lathe ever, and he says it's just amazing how much better it has, how much more power, and being able to control the speeds and the whole bit. So I did not know. That was something I didn't know. When I watched his video, I thought, three-phase motor? I didn't know you could get a three-phase motor to work on, your normal 110 without a rotary phase converter. I knew you could do it, but I thought you had to have a rotary phase converter in order to get it to work, a three-phase motor. Well, apparently all you have to have is a VFD, and it works. I did not know that. So, again, I don't know anything about three-phase. I think I've mentioned that before, so there you go. I learned something this weekend on that. Let's see. Dottie says, no kidding, someone caught a piranha in South Carolina River. That's, I shouldn't even say this out loud, but eco-terrorism is what I call it. I think some of this stuff is being done on purpose. It's kind of like, like those carp invading the rivers and the things like that. And then there's these other kinds of fish that are invading certain ponds. And then there's these invasive plants and things. And it wouldn't surprise me at all to find out that some of this stuff's being done on purpose. Just like eco-terrorism. Wouldn't surprise me. Not saying that's what's happening, but it wouldn't surprise me. Ronald Todd, Jerry, keep in mind how you're going to winterize the water wheel when building it. Yeah, well, basically, I'm not. It's going to be just exactly like you see it all winter long. And I don't think that'll be a problem. It might when it gets super, super cold, but when it gets super, super cold and it freezes, I don't think it's going to hurt anything. I mean, I really don't. So I don't think I'm going to plan to do anything winterizing it, but I may change my mind once I see something happen. I can't really picture anything happening at this point. See, that spring water stays at about a constant 50 degrees. And that big pond that we have there, it almost never, and I say almost never, meaning almost never freezes over. It does freeze over occasionally, but it's got to be really cold for a really long stretch, like maybe 8 or 10 days in a row of, generally temperatures in the very low 20s and colder before it'll freeze over. So I don't really plan to do anything at this point. Simon Jardine, you'll know, of course, that silicone will repel most painted finishes. You'll need a mastic if you paint it further down the line. Yeah, I don't plan to paint it at all, Simon. So, yeah, I really do not plan to paint it. I don't want it painted, and I don't think paint would stay anyway out in the sun and the water and all that. I think the wood would... I think it would just peel off eventually anyway. I really do. Zap says it was Sonny Bono. Yep, it was. Okay. Yeah, I thought one of those guys did that. He kind of broke more than his collarbone. Bob says Stronger Beer is a fun song. Yeah, well, I don't doubt it at all. It's just the subject matter, and that's all it is, Bob. It's no. I don't mean any offense to you whatsoever. Like I told you, I've got this one friend. I'm just going to say his first name. His name is John. He's recorded here. Well, when I had my recording studio, he recorded more than anybody. I recorded dozens and dozens of bands over the years, but he recorded all the time. He came almost every month to record, and he was a major pothead. I mean, major pothead. And he and I were very good friends. I got no problem. You do what you want, and I'll do what I want, and we're both just as happy as we can be. But on the other hand, I don't agree with that at all. At zero, none, not any. And but that didn't keep us from being friends, and that's the way I feel about you and me, Bob. I'm perfectly fine if you drink beer and if you drink alcohol and whatever you do. It's perfectly fine with me. It's just not what I choose, and it's not something that I would compromise on. So that's just the way it is. Sorry. Zappa says, Jerry, not singing about alcohol or drugs is not small at all. Well, I don't know. You can classify it any way you want, and, you can think it's small of me if you want to, or you can think any way you want, but I'm just telling you like I see it, and I've never lied to you before, and I don't plan to lie to you now. So there you go. I know sometimes these things will really make people mad and make them unsubscribe and all that kind of stuff. And if that happens, well, that's unfortunate. It's not my intent. I'm just trying to be honest with you. James Akers, VFD works like a phase converter. It changes AC to DC, and they are great. Okay. Well, I'm glad to know that, because I did not know that. I truly didn't. I truly thought you had to have a phase converter no matter what, and then you would also put the VFD, and I thought the VFD was mostly to control the speed. I did not know that it converted the phase as well. I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't know about electric. I know pretty much anything that you need to know for doing like safe wiring and electrical stuff and all that, but I don't know about three-phase, and I don't know about, high-end commercial applications and things like that. Ronald Todd, Jerry, now that you said almost never, the pond is sure to freeze up this year. Yeah, you got that right. You know that's a black and white fact, but that's true. Now, it really hardly ever freezes. We've only been able to skate on it once or twice in 25 years. And, even then it was sketchy. Like you were wondering, is it really solid enough? And it was. I mean, it truly was. And, we had grandkids out there and myself out there and Sue out there skating and stuff. And, of course, I tested it thoroughly before we allowed anybody to get out there, but it's only frozen that hard once or twice in 25 years. Generally speaking, it doesn't freeze really even. It'll get the least little skim thin of ice over it that'll be melted off by noon. It'll do that quite a bit, but that's all it gets is just that little thin skim ice. I think there's two reasons. Number one, the spring is part of it. Number two, it's also very deep, so it holds the heat a little better than your average pond. If it was real shallow, it would probably freeze more often. Yeah, thumbs up, Ronald Todd says. Well, thank you. I hope everybody will do that. Zappa says, someone once told me pot was no different than alcohol. I asked them, who told you alcohol was a good thing? Yeah, well, and I don't mean to get into a big political fight over it or anything, but I just do not believe that anything that alters with your brain is a good idea. Our brains are screwed up enough as it is, and I know some people just get all uptight about it. You don't know nothing about it. Pot's really good for it. Well, fine, if that's what you want to do. I got no argument with you. You just do what you want to do. Knock yourself out. I got no problem with it. I'm not looking down on you. I'm not looking... Just do what you want to do. I just don't agree with it. Gary Cooper, I'm guessing Willie and Merle's songs, The World Is Gonna Pot, is not a good request. Probably not. I'd have to hear this. If they're talking against it, I would say, yeah, I'd probably do that. But if they're talking for it, no, I wouldn't do the song. There's no way I would do it. So... and again, like I said, I don't want to make a big thing out of it. I've already lost some viewers already, I can tell. But that's okay, because I'm not going to lie to you one way or the other. If you ask me a question, I'll tell you the straight answer. That's about it for today, guys. I'm going to have some more stuff tomorrow, hopefully, and I say hopefully, I'm going to try to build that water flume today, and maybe by tomorrow, you'll see a working water wheel. I'd say that's a slim chance, but there is a chance. It just depends how well all that goes. When you get started building that stuff, sometimes it goes really easy, sometimes not so much. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll see you tomorrow. It scrolled a lot there. I don't know. Well, when I was an apprentice, Jerry, I accidentally picked a second live cable with my other hand. Wow. Was okay. I didn't know they were live, but the second did real damage when the current kicked in. Yeah, it's a dangerous job. Boy, I tell you, I feel for those linemen, those guys that are out there in all the weather. It can be pouring down rain, and they're out there working on those high power lines and things. Whew, that's not exactly what I would think of as a fun time at all. Hit the like button, guys. I will see you tomorrow with something else. Thank you so much for being here, and thanks for all those prayers for Isaac.